Hello, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing Resafa. So this is a Vladimir Suchy game, and it is by Delicious Games, and it is about...
It's about trading resources from trade routes for victory points. It's a bold new theme.
In the desert.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to build canals.
Yeah.
And no one's ever built canals before in a board game.
So we're going to show you how this one plays, and then we'll go ahead and give you our thoughts.
In Resafa, players are merchants, and they're trying to establish a business in this desert land where there's not a lot of water, and it's very hard to irrigate. And so this game is going to take place in rounds where there is plentiful water and then not as much plentiful water, and then the rains will come. And it will do that multiple times, so across 6 rounds and 6 turns. On each one of those rounds, players are going to have a handful of 3 cards that they can play, and they're going to choose whether to play the top side or the bottom side of that card. And then those cards will be played as both the color and the action. What I mean by colors is this area over here and these cards over here. These are bonus cards. These are one-time use things that you can hold in your hand and use when you so desire. And you can choose to grab one of these available ones, or you can come over here and you can choose to move up on these tracks. These tracks give you different benefits depending on the color. We have stuff that's great for endgame, things that will help this irrigation over here, extra bonus actions, and then some actual like deck building style of upgrading the cards that are in your hand. Now, like I mentioned before, the other part of the card is the action that is on the front, and we have a variety of actions that we can take throughout the game. So let's go ahead and talk about the workshop action first, and that is this little area here in the middle. At the beginning of the game, you can only build level 1, and then once enough time has passed and you've upgraded sufficiently, you can build level 2 workshops. These come over here on your player board area, and they're always going to be diagonal from each other because another action you can take is to gain these oases over here. These are going to actually slot in between, and then they're going to trigger any of these green bonuses that are attached to them. You get extra bonuses if you complete whole square regions full of your oases, and that's this over here on your player board. Or you can continue to trigger these greens multiple times by playing lots of smaller oases. Now, the large part of the board over here and over here is the actual trade post creating and the pick up and deliver part of this game. Now, as you can see, I have this little camel right here, and you actually will slot goods in its back. So this character already came over here, and they spent $2 per one of these little pot things. It's got a fancy name. I can't pronounce it. And so I will then, on a turn, if I want to do the trading action, I can come over here. I would pay the cost that it would take to move across all of these regions, and then I would stop somewhere, and I could choose to establish a trading post by paying a coin and a stone, which will give me some benefits to add to my player board. But then I can also trade in the goods. Oop, I'm sorry, I don't even want to go there. I want to go here. Pay an extra coin. But then I can actually trade in the goods, so I can trade in what my camel can hold. I would then get the rewards multiplied on the trade amount, and then if there happens to be a bonus, I can gain the bonus. Then the tile will flip over, and the market will change a little bit. Finally, we have the build canals part of the game, and that is this over here. So players have canals that they can choose to build for a cost. They also have these little cistern basins, if I can find one, that will go down in this area. And so as they build these out through the game, they'll gain the points or whatever bonuses they cover up immediately. And then if they happen to build it next to one of these blue cubes, they will place the blue cube on top of it. And when we get to these between round water times, then we're going to go ahead and use those, and they will flow down, hopefully to cisterns, and score more points. One thing about this area is this is the more tactical side of it, as in when you have a cube on your tile, you're going to actually choose where it moves. So you can choose, it always has to flow downwards, but you can choose to move it to a different area if, for say, someone's basin's underneath you or someone else's tiles underneath you, and you don't want them to have access to that cube. Cubes will then continue to flow all the way down if there's no other tiles that will change direction. All right, so let's talk about what gets you points in this game. We'll do that by going through this final scoring over here. Now, there are these little squares that you can get placed on your board, and as you place them, that will unlock your ability to build higher advanced workshops, as well as a little bit of set collection over here with these scarabs at the end of the game. You also are going to use these lines here as multipliers, so for every oasis tile that you have, every workshop tile that you have, and then every canal tile that you have, you can actually have increased multipliers depending on how you build out these particular squares on your board. Now this little hourglass symbol over here has to do with these pink cards. These are endgame scoring cards, and for example, this says for every one of these trading posts that you've established, you would get 2 points at the end of the game. Also, some of the cards that you upgrade will have points on them at the bottom. And then finally, resources are traded in for points, and then any points that you get from having a specific amount of canals will also give you points. During the game, there's also plenty of other ways to score points. These cards down here may have some cards over here. When you run your workshop, some of them will have points on them directly. And then the picking up and deliver can also be huge points. Also, when the rain flows, that phase over here, this is going to be massive points if you can get the rain to flow really well for you. All right, so I know that was brief, and that was my goal to not go into too much detail, but that is an overview of Resafa.
One of the first things that jumped out to me, and I'm not often one to judge a book by its cover, but immediately I thought, oh, the art and the presentation of this game doesn't look as good as some of their last few, right? Underwater Cities and Evacuation, I think of as kind of high points.
The artwork is a little bit mushy, I feel like. It's almost like it was zoomed in too far.
Right. And it's not just, oh, it doesn't look very good. I think that some of the presentation of it from a usefulness standpoint, like there's a lot of iconography that is there, but sometimes it's kind of in odd places. Oh, remember, if you get this end of game bonus scoring point card, you get these bonus points here, but also if you did it early on, you get these bonus points here. You know, there's just little things like that that are kind of scattered. It's there, but you almost kind of have to know where to look.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because, yeah, it's always on the board and it's generally near where it needs to be, but it's less obvious. Like the end game scoring is just at the top of the board.
I can't find the price, though, of building, when you do the trade route, like building your little camp there.
Yeah.
I can't find that 1 stone and 1 coin. It's not a hard cost to remember, but I just feel like there's some of those little finishing touches that aren't quite as well done production-wise on here. Physical componentry as well as just the overall aesthetic and look.
Sure.
I don't want to harp on that point too much. That's not why I play Euro games.
I was like, does it affect your score very much? The whole camels, placing the stuff in your camel, I think that that's a cute gimmick. It was totally unnecessary. You could have had a thing on the side that was just your camel full of storage.
But if you're going to do it, put some toy factor in.
You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a little bit of that. It takes fun pictures. It's cute. So I like the camel. We'll go for it. For actual game, though, I found that I very much enjoyed this idea having bonus cards or specialty cards. So when you make that color choice, making that decision, because those bonus cards can be really powerful one-time use things, but then the special cards, you are waiting and you're slowly moving up that track. Those things are like massively powerful.
They really can be. And it's fun because every time you play a card out, you have the multi-use choice, right? Of which action do I take, which card do I take, because the same action's on multiple of my cards.
Which color is on that action.
Which color is on it. The colors don't match between
there's
player decks.
Different decks for each player, yes.
And we're trying to figure out why exactly. Maybe just so that you can't have like a guaranteed kind of plan. Like you really have to play what you have. It's a bit of a tactical experience in that way, but there's enough flexibility that you're not going to... I don't feel like you'll ever sit there and go, I'm hamstrung by my card draw.
Yeah.
Because you have so many choices to make. And those one-time bonus cards on the side, I think kind of make up for some of that inflexibility of your personal action card draw.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating thematically how in the years right after the rains, you have more selection. And it's something I didn't really go over much in the overview, but you have more choices in hand than when you have those dry years at the end. You're basically using the very end of your deck, and so you only have 3 cards and you slowly parse them down to just 1. And so, I think that's thematically very interesting.
Yeah.
Like a way to tie that in.
I think the one downside of it would be that if you play with an AP prone player, an analysis paralysis, you grind to a halt kind of player, they're going to sit there and go, okay, well, I have to save this card for the dry season, the second round, the second, fourth, and sixth round. Because so I don't want to do that. So which action card do I use? Well, which one do I want to do first? And many games of this weight and style
do that.
suffer from that person. You know, I get it, but just that kind of card system, I can see that lending to that. But if you just kind of play...
Did you enjoy it, though, that card system?
I enjoy the card system, not as much as I was hoping to, honestly.
Okay.
But I do like that color bonus, that the track or the one-time use card. The tracks are a slow way to get that huge card, or there's so many little instant cards right now that you're like, well, that'll give me the resource I'm missing to take the action that's printed on this card. Oh, I was 1 coin shy of doing this build action, but because it has a blue banner, I can afford it now through my clever little play. It gives you enough little ways to zigzag your way into the actions you want to do.
I think you explaining those kind of actions, I think that's what I really enjoy about this game, is that you have those moments where you're like, okay, I'm just going to take this basic action. But really, because you get to do more than one thing on a turn and you get to choose how you're going to do that, you get to have a lot of those moments where you're like, I'm going to do this thing that does allow me to do this. Now I get to take this awesome turn. And so I feel like you're setting up for these big moments. The range scoring can be really big moments, but it's very tactical. I think that's the part that I shy away from the most, because moving those cubes, letting other people choose where the cubes go, you could have it set up where you're like, I think I'm going to get it all. And then someone's like, I'm going to move it to the other side. So that to me, I just worry about myself, but I don't have to play that. And that's another thing I appreciated about this, is that you don't have to go into everything in this game. And so if I want to avoid the canals, I can avoid the canals. I can do other fun stuff. I can pick up and deliver. I can build my workshops. I can build those oases. There's so much. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, this is kind of where my thoughts diverge a little bit more from yours, right? You clearly really enjoy all of the different systems going on. And I'm a bit more frustrated personally by that rain system, that oasis, or not the oasis, but the canal board on the side, because there's such a hesitancy to say, I don't want to build there early, knowing that someone else can redirect the water away from me. And especially those basins. You can build these basins on the bottom where they are worth a lot of points. And if you can make the water follow a path down to your basin, you're going to score buku points. But as soon as one person builds in a path and says, no, it's going to go away from yours, you almost have to have too much lined up to make that thing a secure payoff, right? They are going to pay off some points at the end of the 3 eras, but if you're really trying to play that water cube game, I don't love that. And then the pick up and deliver side of things, I find to be okay. I think that that's good. It's competent, but it's not the most thrilling pick up and deliver for me. So I think that this game does a lot of things well, but none of them like exceptionally well.
Interesting, because I happen to think that I like that the river canal spot gives you enough, like it gives you enough even if you aren't the one that gets the cubes, because you get points for each one of the tiles that come, or each one of the tiles that you've placed out. You get points and you get bonuses for placing them out. And the farther down, it's harder to get those cubes to go there, so they're worth more points. Like I feel like they balance that out really nicely. And so even if I don't necessarily love that tactical game, I still feel like I could go there, and I could go there with the thought process of I may not get a cube, but I'm still getting points and I'm still getting good bonuses. And then the pick up and deliver can be massive points, especially if you've really upgraded your camels. You can hold a lot. I mean, being able to pick up, like buy 9 items and then deliver them, and if they're like worth 3, 4, 5 points a pop, like that's massive. And so I find it to be very thrilling in the sense of when I have those good moves, it's very exciting.
I think that's the key word that it's lacking for me is thrilling, right? Having a turn where you're like, yeah, 25 points, I traded in all these goods. That was okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't thrill me. And I think that's the thing. It's not, by any means, am I saying this is a poorly designed game. I think every aspect of it is well designed. I think every aspect of it feeds into that potential end game scoring that you can fill in your own player board and get bigger multipliers. I like every part of this game, but none of it thrills me the way that I would need it to for a game like this for me to want to come back to.
Okay, so what is your score for this?
Score-wise, I think I'm going to give this one a 6.5. Right, and that kind of exemplifies, right? I think every part of this is well made, but there's just not enough to grip me to make me say, yeah, let me choose this one over, in a lot of ways, even any one of Vladimir Suchy's other games, right? His other games oftentimes have something that hooks me and makes me say, yes, this one does merit its own, being its own game, being one that I will come back to. Maybe that's a better way to say it than merits being a game. And so this one is good, and I can see other people enjoying it far more than me, but 6.5 is not a bad score, just shy of being able to really recommend it.
Okay, whereas this one is an 8.5 for me. I think that this is an excellent game. I very much enjoy it. I like the specialty cards. I like those tracks that you have to move up and that slow burn because they are so powerful. And I think for me, that is a big part of what makes this unique. And then having those multi-use cards, I always enjoy multi-use cards. I enjoy pick up and deliver. And I enjoy games where I don't have to do everything, but I can. And so I can dabble in a lot, or I can really focus in on a few things. And so I think it has the choices and that replayability that I'm looking forward into a game, as well as there are bits of player interaction. As people move up on the tracks, they reveal new cards. As the bonus cards dwindle down, it becomes tighter. And so someone might take the cards that you want. You've got the water interaction there. And then you also have the interaction of the bonus tiles flip over, or the bonuses on the tiles flip over when you're doing the trading. So I think that there's the right kind of interaction that I want, except for maybe the canals. We'll see. I still have to feel like I have to play them more, but I get enough from the canal without worrying and stressing about, am I going to get the cubes, that I still enjoy that part as well.
All right, well, there you go. A 2-point difference in our score, our opinion on this one. So go ahead and comment below where you think you feel. Yeah, but a high score of an 8.5 gives Resafa a seal of excellence from us here at the Dice Tower. Thanks for coming out to this review, everyone. My name's Chris Yi.
I'm Wendy Yi.
And have yourselves a very dry day in the desert.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassett.